Thank you very much for joining me here today. I want to begin by stating clearly for Canadians and any of our American colleagues, neighbours who are watching, that Canada's border is strong, and we're making it stronger. Our recent plan, announced only several months ago, is the largest single investment in Canadian history on the Canadian border. But when our largest ally raises concerns, we take it seriously. And comments earlier today have led me to come here today to make a few clarifying remarks so Canadians understand and our American counterparts understand where we are in terms of those investments. The first thing to remember is we know that less than 1% of all fentanyl entering the United States comes from Canada. We know this because American data has told us that that is the case. We know, for example, over a recent 12-month period, that 43 pounds of fentanyl was seized coming from Canada into the United States, 43 pounds. And in that same 12-month period, 21,900 pounds of fentanyl was coming in from other parts of the American border, but not from Canada. So less than 1% of all fentanyl entering the United States is forthcoming from Canada. That's important for us to recall. But there's more work to do. I want to take a few minutes to talk about the work that we're doing and some of the things that we've accomplished already. Last October, RCMP federal investigators took down the largest and most sophisticated drug superlab in Canada. This delivered a decisive blow to a major transnational organized crime group and took 95,500,000 lethal doses of fentanyl off the streets. Since 2018, the RCMP has done the same with 44 other labs. Later this week, a regulatory process will be launched to increase the control and the oversight of precursors chemicals in Canada. We're negotiating with American authorities now, at present, to stand up a joint North American fentanyl strike force. Those conversations have been underway for some time. What will that strike force do? It will target and hit organized crime harder and faster, including cartels. This will include new resources, frontline personnel, technical operations capacity, and infrastructure. We've already deployed 2 new Black Hawk helicopters and 60 new drones to the border to disrupt illegal cross-border activity. We're also training and deploying new border detector dog teams specialized 100% in fentanyl detection. We're investing in new technology that will be deployed at our border to target fentanyl and precursor chemicals such as X-rays, mobile scanners, and chemical analyzers. We're also following the money. A new operational alert for fentanyl for illicit opioids was released last week by FinTrack to assist financial partners in identifying and reporting transactions linked to the laundering of proceeds of fentanyl trafficking. We also announced that we are creating a new Canadian drug profiling centre to support 2,000 investigations a year and expanding our capacity at regional labs, and that we will launch a new chemical precursor risk management unit to enhance monitoring and surveillance and enable timely law enforcement action. In fact, our senior Canadian officials from Health Canada will be heading to Virginia to be trained by our American counterpart organization in due course to, in fact, be able to better track and trace the origin of these precursors. This question of fentanyl is not unknown to Canadians. It's been a tragedy for many families. We are aware of it. Our government's been dealing with it for years. But we're not alone on this front, are we? Struggles and the impact of fentanyl are real here in our communities, as they are in the United States. And when the new administration suggests that we need to bear down on this question of fentanyl, we don't disagree. Where we really want to see progress is in cooperation, because we know the best way to tackle this crisis is to tackle it together. And so as we move forward, that's what we intend to do. Now, there are many other measures that we've taken thus far on the border. We continue to take those measures. They're having a direct impact on the efficiency, on the safety, and on, for that matter, on the overall management of our relationship with the United States. This is the longest undefended border in the world and has been for well over 100 years. This is a relationship that we've managed well between our countries. We will continue to manage that relationship well. 400,000 Canadians a day cross, 400,000 people a day cross our border. Billions of dollars of trade every day flow between our borders. Our approach to the American administration is a simple one. We have a choice. We can either win and win, or we can lose and lose. We are of the belief that the American administration understands this. We're going to continue to bear down on the border and on other measures to be able to deal with some of these problems. But I want to make it very clear one more time, then I'll open it to questions. Our border is strong, and we're making it even stronger. And it's important for Canadians to understand on this fentanyl question, Canada is responsible for less than 1% of fentanyl entering the United States. Thank you very much.
Your government released or has produced some sort of video or commercial of sorts when it comes to what you're doing at the border. What are you hoping this video achieves? What are you hoping to do by releasing that video?
Video footage that would be shared with the United States is not an uncommon thing. It's part and parcel of our security and intelligence exchanges on a regular basis. If we are now sharing video footage with the United States, it is likely to show, and that's up to the operational folks at the RCMP and CBSA, it is likely to help show the investments that we're making and that they're working.
So did this video go to the Trump administration?
La question de vidéo, c'est pas du tout anormal que des vidéos soient partagées entre le Canada et les États-Unis. Ça fait partie de nos échanges de renseignements et de sécurité nationale. Je crois que si ça a lieu aujourd'hui, je pense que ça fait partie d'une série de partages d'informations pour partager avec les Américains et vice-versa quels progrès on a fait déjà avec notre plan frontalier.
What indication, if any, have you received or the government has received from the Trump administration as to how satisfied they are with Canada's border plan?
I'll have more to say about that, I hope, by the end of the week. My plan is to head to the United States tomorrow morning. I'll be in Washington, D.C., meeting with a series of officials. I'll have much more to, I think, share with you by Friday.
What do you make of Mr. Lutnick's comments today that if Canada doesn't shut the border, we're going to get tariffs? What are those how should Canadians view those comments? Should Canadians view those comments that the U.S. is still not satisfied with Canada's actions today?
I think we should take Mr. Lutnick's comments seriously. I think we should take them at face value. And I think we should continue reminding our American neighbors how far we've come, and Canadians how far we've come. We had a very strong border. We have an even stronger border today in the last several months. And I'm quite convinced that the evidence that's being presented to the administration will break through.
Have you spoken to Tom Homan, and what did he have to say about the plan, and what have other lawmakers?
My schedule for Washington, D.C. is being finalized. I'll have more to say about that on Friday.
Has the Prime Minister conveyed at all that we can actually avoid the tariffs by Saturday, if there's any change to the border plan?
You'll forgive me, I didn't catch the question.
If the Prime Minister has conveyed that we can avoid the tariffs by Saturday.
I haven't spoken to the Prime Minister about this. I'm absolutely laser focused on the border right now and implementing these measures, and I am convinced this is making a very big difference.
Is there anything in this border plan that's delayed by having Parliament prorogued right now?
In terms of the $1.3 billion six-year plan that we put forward, no, because the departments and agencies involved have assured me that all of the resourcing that we required is available. Now, if we believe we need to make other legislative change or other investments, that's an issue we'll have to deal with in due course.
Quand vous êtes capable de parler le langage de l'administration Trump, est-ce que la vidéo s'insère un petit peu dans cette stratégie-là?
Je pense que l'administration du président Trump est fixée sur les promesses qui ont été rendues au public américain. Je pense que le président Trump sent une obligation profonde envers sa population pour livrer la marchandise, comme on dirait. Et je pense que c'est important de faire passer le message qu'on peut gagner les deux, on peut être gagnant et gagnant en même temps. Et tout ce qu'on fait maintenant, c'est d'améliorer la situation sur la frontière pour leur expliquer que nous sommes complètement liés. Hein. Nous avons une frontière depuis 150 ans, sans avoir une présence militaire, par exemple, où les deux pays ont beaucoup profité de cette relation, de cette frontière, et je pense que ce message passe à Washington.
Can you make a comment on how the commissioner of the Foreign Interference Committee criticizing the NCCOP's report on accuracy?
I spoke to that yesterday. I don't think there's much different, to be honest with you, between the NCCOP 3 foreign interference reviews, not one but three, and the Commissioner Hogg's excellent piece of work. I think what we should be doing now is all parties coming together and looking at those recommendations for improvement and moving forward. I hope to implement some change, if we can, before the next election. But I do want to assure Canadians, as she has in her review, the 2019 and 2021 elections were free and fair, and we have already instigated and put into place a series of measures which will help protect the electoral process, help protect our democracy and our democratic institutions.
Sorry, you'll let you go.
Mr. Polyev has rejected a CSIS proposal that would have given him classified guidance on foreign interference. What's your response to that?
My response is, I think that's regrettable. I think that as the leader of the official opposition, Mr. Polyev has a higher obligation to 41 million Canadians who want to see improvement made in the area of democratic institutions and processes. I would encourage him to get that security briefing. I would encourage him to get the top secret clearance so he can join us in the response, our national response to what is not only a national but an international scourge. It's interesting, on the security and intelligence side, we cooperate with our American and Five Eye partners on a regular basis. We will continue to do that, and that's something I will remind my counterparts of in Washington. And nowhere is this more obvious than in the area of electoral processes. President Biden surfaced all kinds of information around foreign interference in American electoral processes, and I think that we need to come together on this. And I think that Mr. Polyev might want to reconsider his position on this, get the clearance, and help us move forward together.
Border video on the border.
Replacing you as chair of NCCOP.
I'm sorry?
What advice do you have for Ms. Latanzio, who's succeeding you as NCCOP chair?
I would say focus very much on nonpartisanship. Remember why the committee was created by our government and the Prime Minister. Remember the purpose is to improve our overall security and intelligence landscape. That's the review responsibility at NCCOP. I think if she does so, she'll get the very best out of the parliamentarians that she works with and has the privilege of working with as the chair, and go forward and continue to point the direction in the right way with recommendations for improvement.
One last question on the border video. What attempts, who has seen it? Who have you sent it to? And what attempts have you taken to make sure that officials in the White House, maybe even President Trump, has seen it?
I can't answer you specifically about that. If there's footage being pulled together, it would likely be through our agencies who are working together, perhaps with our embassy in Washington. I'll have more to say about that in due course.
Sir, if Canada's already responsible for less than 1% of the fentanyl being seized going into the U.S., is this even possible to convince American officials that you're taking action here? If the numbers are this tiny already, like, is this an impossible task that you're trying to carry out here?
No, it's not. It's not, because I think my experience over decades of work in and out of the United States is that our American neighbors, legislators, colleagues, business colleagues, tourists, family members understand what's at stake in the Canada-U.S. relationship. And so as a result of that, I am quite confident that in due course we're going to be able to break through, but we need to indicate to our largest ally when they raise concern, we take it seriously. And we're going to continue to make the changes we need to make. We'll continue the campaign, we will continue the dialogue, and I'm always hopeful, I remain hopeful, we're going to be able to solve this. We've been doing it for 150 years together. I don't see why we can't do it now.
But Canadians heard today that almost regardless of what happens this weekend, there could be another set of tariffs that come April 1st. What do you have to say to Canadians who may be wondering what the point of all of this is if it seems that the U.S. is not taking this threat of big tariffs off the table?
My comment, my reaction to that is we keep moving forward and we keep working together and we go at it again, which is why I'll be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow and Friday to meet with yet more officials to bring them up to speed on the investments, the time, the focus we're having on the border now, as my colleagues are doing in other spheres of influence. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.